Hello and welcome to another IGTV episode. My name is Leah Courtney and I'm a homeschool mom of 4 and blogger at aswewalkalongtheroad.com. As We Walk Along the Road is a blog that provides literature-based homeschooling resources and encouragement for homeschool mamas. And I've been homeschooling for over 16 years now. I have 2 homeschool graduates and 2 who are still in high school. This is the 9th episode in my Homeschooling the First Year and Beyond series. This is a series that's especially for new homeschooling moms or moms who might be thinking about homeschooling or moms who have only been homeschooling a few years and you might be running into some of these questions. So if you haven't caught the previous episodes, make sure you go to my profile and scroll down. You can find those, and you can also look at the highlight tab that says IGTV, and you'll be able to see all of the videos linked there as well, so you can watch them. There's also a book that you can get free, an ebook that you can download, and there's information about that in the highlight as well. So if you go and find all that information, you can also download this free ebook. So you want to be a homeschooler that has lots of great information to get you started. So in today's episode, I am wrapping up a discussion of homeschooling methods. We've talked about those over the last few episodes. And today I want to tell you about a homeschooling method that I wished I had been brave enough to try from the start. And then I'm going to tell you the homeschooling method terminology that probably best describes the kind of homeschooler that I am. So first I want to talk about unschooling. And there's lots to unpack about unschooling, and I know I don't have nearly the time to do that today. But unschooling does not mean that you are not doing anything educational with your kids. That's not it at all. Unschooling means that your kids are learning, but it is not through a structured system like we generally think of school. So if you went to school and you weren't homeschooled, if you were in a traditional school, either a public school or a private school, there are systems that happen in schools. So I went to a small private school. Growing up, it was a small private Christian school. We didn't have lots of people. I think like the max enrolled from kindergarten to 12th grade was close to 500 one time, and in other years it was a lot lower than that. So it was a very small school. When I graduated and got a degree in education, I taught in a junior high, because back then it was junior high, not middle school, just briefly. I taught in a 2nd grade classroom. I taught special ed resource for all grades. And then I have also taught special ed resource in a high school where I was teaching primarily students who were non-diploma, meaning they were not in a regular diploma course. So out of all that experience, I can say that even in all of those different age groups, all of those different types of schools, there's sort of a process that all schools follow, and there are things that all schools do. Students sit in desk, typically. You can't have everybody talking at once, so you have some kind of system where students raise their hands or do something else to let you know they want to communicate. You cannot work with all of those kids at one time, and so there are different ways in different classrooms where you're going to have students that are working on something and you're going to be able to walk around and help different students, or you're going to be able to call students up in groups. While you're doing that, the other students have to have some kind of work in front of them. All of those different forms of school involved some type of lecture usually, like me standing teaching at the front of the class, either in a lecture style with notes or in a discussion style where I kind of led a discussion and then called on different kids to answer. All of those are sort of things that you can find in pretty much any school style and structure. Unschooling says we don't need that to learn. We don't need to have those same structures as school does. We can learn by exploring the world around us. And so that's what unschoolers do. Unschoolers don't use a standard curriculum, usually. They don't use textbooks and workbooks. They probably do read good books with their kids, but they read books about topics their kids have already expressed interest in instead of them choosing the book and saying, okay, we're going to read this now. It's something that the child has already expressed interest in. Unschoolers provide lots of opportunities for education to happen. So unschooling moms are not laying on the couch eating bonbons all day hoping that kids learn something in everyday life. They're facilitating that. They're facilitating that by providing craft supplies. They're facilitating that by putting out items on a table that the kids can come and explore and learn about. They're facilitating that by having available to the kids different learning tools and learning resources. So it's not a passive, let me just sit back and hope my kids learn something. It's involving kids in your everyday life and making opportunities for them to have learning experiences in the home. But you're not doing it in a sit down in your desk and work on this curriculum sort of way. So that's kind of my really general overview of what unschooling is. When I started homeschooling my kids, I was coming from this background of having been a teacher. And the thought of unschooling kind of scared me, even though I liked some of the ideas that I was hearing. But I didn't unschool. I will say that we've always been laid back homeschoolers, but I've never gone into the whole totally being an unschooler. And I wish in hindsight that that is something I had done, especially through the elementary, middle school years, because I really love the things that I read about now, all the opportunities that unschoolers are presenting for their children to learn things in such a natural way. So that's an overview of unschooling. The last homeschooling method that I wanted to talk about, and this is what I consider myself, and that is eclectic. And I think you'll find that lots of us as homeschoolers are considered eclectic. And eclectic just means that we pick and choose from different methods and philosophies and use what works with our kids and our own families. And that to me is one of the huge benefits and blessings of homeschooling, is that we can use what works. We can use what works for each child if that is something different. And it has been for us and my family. My kids haven't always used the same materials each year because some of them do better with some than others. So eclectic means that we're picking and choosing from these different styles and we're putting them together to create something that works for our kids. I will say that eclectic homeschooling also takes a good bit of work because you're not just going to one curriculum company and saying, okay, send me the whole box of first grade, and now I have it all here. Instead, you're going each year and you're choosing a history curriculum, and you're choosing science materials, and you're choosing literature that you want your kids to read that year. And so there's planning and time involved in doing it and being an eclectic homeschooler. There's some trial and error. Here, I love this curriculum, let's try it. And then first month of school, it's just falling flat with one of your kids and you know you're not going to make it. And so you change gears right there, midstream, and change your curriculum, do something different. So eclectic means that you're doing what works and that you are able to individualize education for each child in your family as well. So I hope that these last few episodes talking about homeschooling methods have at least given you a good overview. If you visit aswewalkalongtheroad.com and type in homeschool methods in the search bar, I have other posts and information about the homeschooling methods with a little bit more detail than I've been able to cover in these episodes. So do that if you want to research some of these methods more closely. Thank you for watching, and we will be back for another episode moving away from homeschooling methods next week.